It's pretty safe to say that I'm a massive fan of Overwatch. I've played this game since Season 2, and I've got 3,000 hours in it over a 6-year span on Xbox and PC. I've even hit Grandmaster one season. It was probably one of the biggest accomplishments in my entire gaming career. It was a game I took pride in that often rewarded your skill, positioning, proper cooldown management, and precise timing, and I was one of those people that wasn't only captivated from its gameplay, but from its lore as well. I wanted to know more about each and every character, what their goals were, what kind of person they strove to be, and what kind of effect that they had on the world of Overwatch. It was mystifying when this game released, and it would become a regular visitor in my life and allowed me to mold strategies and ideas in all sorts of different and imaginative ways, and I couldn't get enough of the ridiculous amount of replayability that brought. These days I don't play it as much, and while there's a few different bigger and smaller reasons as to why that is, my main one is
sometimes I'm not sure why I even bother.
The last character to officially release before the beta was 2 years ago, and it was yet another DPS to add to the giant pile that we already had. Meanwhile, there's 7 healers, and the last new release was 3.5 years ago. I cannot truly express how stale this game is right now for healers and tanks from the lack of variety after 6 years it's been out. Before they decided to stop releasing characters, it was difficult to suffer the long waits they'd ask from us in between content drops. And to put it into perspective, Paladins releases a new character every 6 weeks. Overwatch released one every 4 months and eventually just stopped releasing them altogether. When the announcement for the sequel happened, it alleviated a lot of worry because it assured me that all this time they weren't just sitting around with their hands in their pockets. They were saving content back to release in what they'd consider to be a sequel version of the game. There was no official announcement that convinced me that they were saving content back. It just sorta made sense to me. What else could justify a PvP sequel with all the extra time they've had? Hearing info about a sequel was at least enough to keep me playing and waiting patiently, but I was convinced I was at least waiting for something that would explain all the long periods of nothing that they'd make people wait.
We should take a look at what's in this box.
An early beta of the sequel would happen in 2019, showcasing a new mode and PvE gameplay where streamers lucky enough to test the game got to stream it.
Oh, this is awesome.
And that was enough to convince me that waiting would at least be worth it. Now that it's here, this beta is probably the most anticlimactic thing I could have possibly expected. 2 years we've waited since the last character release, and what do they have to show for it? 2 new characters, one of which we already knew about, and maps that already got showcased. I get that their employees are under a lot of pressure with horrific work conditions, and they have to put up with the most greedy snake CEO that you could possibly imagine. But after 2 years I thought surely this can't be it, surely there's more to show us than this. This beta couldn't be any more of a flatline for me as a fan of Overwatch, and I can't imagine how many other longtime fans probably feel the same way. The new cinematic shorts are also lacking a lot of the drive and passion for storytelling that they once had. In older cinematics, we saw how Reinhardt joined Overwatch as his closest friend fell. We saw a day in the life of Soldier 76 as he saves a girl and then thanklessly walks into the night. We get to see the confliction in Bastion as he came to terms with the purpose of his creation. We get to witness the complicated relationship between Hanzo and his brother. And now, we get to see Junker Queen get banned from a city for 3 seconds, break the 4th wall so much it made me cringe the entire way through it.
What? I'm not allowed to have a bad dream. But here I am. King Howell has never lost. Not in 13 years of rule. Did you really think this would be a fair fight? Alright, let's get this started.
And then use her weapons really well. The cinematic quite literally teaches me nothing more about this character, and within 7 minutes and tons of dialogue, this cinematic fails to do what a robot with 0 dialogue does, and it sets the lowest bar they've ever set in their animated shorts.
And there's just lots of explosions and bangs and wallops. I might as well stay at home and put the knives and forks in the microwave.
I don't care about these characters, and the cinematic fails to change that even slightly. And if it was done by an indie studio rather than a multi-billion-dollar one, I'd probably be judging it very differently. This is Overwatch we're talking about though. A game that tapped into the hearts of millions of people with their animated shorts and could bring you to tears if they wanted. This is just another soulless Deadpool clone. And things like this make me regret the success of Deadpool because now this cringy, self-aware shit is everywhere. It made me want to run screaming back to the first 3 years of the game because it felt like all the love and ambition in the series was there. And the developers would drop little hints in the games for us along the way while we waited for new content. The 4 months between character releases were tough, but it felt like the developers were just as excited to release them as we were. The creator would also come out and give updates as often as he could and stayed as active as possible in the community. People would often joke that he was a filthy plat, but he was one of us.
I think you all are gonna really love these. These are ornaments that were made by members of our community.
And if it feels like Overwatch lacks a soul nowadays, it probably has a lot to do with the fact that Blizzard really isn't Blizzard anymore. It's Activision. And Overwatch's creator left the company without explanation, and all of us are left to speculate on what caused him to go. The people behind the passion and creativity on the first release have mostly been replaced and laid off, as sad as it is. It's probably time that I accept that Overwatch will never have that magical way of hooking me back in like it used to. The new 5v5 is more steamroll heavy than any Overwatch 1 match I think I've ever played. Tanks are beefy now and there's only one per team, and if your team's tank is better than the other, you win. It's become a game of tank versus tank now, and everyone besides tank players don't seem to care much for it. Tank players seem to like it though because they get to feel like gods. I get that there was a lot of balance work done to make one tank possible, but at no point do I feel like a complete team with only one tank in it. Instead, it makes me feel like I joined a custom game that some random kid made. I do like that a lot of crowd control has been removed and the amount of shields to break is far less, but as a result, most characters almost feel pointless and vulnerable in a fight now. Mei can't freeze anymore, Brig can't stun anymore, Sombra's hacking barely does anything, and while it feels a bit more free to have less crowd control in the game overall, it makes the characters that used stuns pointless, and the characters that needed stunning thrive. And healers feel more helpless than ever now. Zen can kick people to the moon now though, so that's pretty funny.
I'm sucking.
You may be.
There are things I like about the new content. I absolutely adore the new mode and new maps. The art style still feels like Overwatch, push mode feels fresh to play even with the steamroll problem, but it all feels too little too late. Imagine you're a camel for a moment, and your source of water drip fed you over 4 months. But it's cool, you can handle it, you're a camel. But then that source stops giving you water and promises that if you wait 2 years, there's gonna be a whole lake of water to drink from. At the end of your 2-year wait, you're dying of thirst, but you've returned to the water source. And it's less than the amount of water that you would have had if you hadn't waited. And now there's salt in it, and this is how the beta feels to me. This man shielded his development team from so much corporate garbage, and on his way out, he wanted us to take good care of his team. Out of all the heroes in Overwatch, this man was by far the most important, and without him, we can only do so much to help the game that we all love. Microsoft has bought the company, and while the transition doesn't finalize until 2023, it gives me hope that the team will regain its creative ground under the Microsoft umbrella. However, without the original crew, I don't think Overwatch will ever feel the same. I'm really hoping the release of Overwatch 2 can prove me wrong, but with the way everything else has been with Blizzard lately, I have a sick feeling in my stomach about it.
Players will also be able to unlock new cosmetic items through the in-game store and Battle Pass.
We're the final shield in Jeff Kaplan's defenses, and Activision is slowly chipping away at our barrier's health, until we too all leave.
We have to do something. We can make a difference again. The world needs us now, more than ever. Are you with me?
This is the current state of Overwatch.